Welcome to the Bonsai Time podcast, the tree hugger's #1 spot for history, horticulture, and having fun. I'm your host, Ryan, and today I sat down with my co-hosts, Kevin and Kelly, to look forward to another new year of doing bonsai and podcasting. We discuss potential new resolutions and directions for our bonsai lives and the podcast. Although not all of our plans can be made public yet, Kevin also posited some potential trends from other forms of art that he hopes will one day be adopted into bonsai. Enjoy this episode and let us know what is your bonsai resolution for the year. Welcome back. We're now going to talk about 2025.
Hey, yeah, I look forward to more dialogue with people and our own personal dialogue with each other in relation to just new ideas out of the ordinary ideas, obviously coming from me. Uh, like we talked about earlier, the idea of creating characters in bonsai like a musical artist would, and going with that and seeing how that can
Oh,
differentiate that.
you talked about that before we started recording. I don't know if you want to explain a little more
Oh
or keep
yeah, it's
that.
a topic, discussion. It's no gatekeeping, but why is there no bonsai artist who's professional in this essence or semi-professional or even amateur uh creating a character similar to that of like David Bowie creating Ziggy Stardust, or somebody new like Tyler the Creator creating his characters and then releasing music from those characters' perspectives? How come there's no shock rock bonsai artists like painting their face like Alice Cooper, or wearing a mask like Slipknot, or all these people doing these things to make this identity and then releasing things under that identity? How come that hasn't happened yet in bonsai, and specifically with the artists doing the trees? Well, like I said, whether it be professional, semi-professional, or amateur, how come people aren't doing that yet? Is there room for that? That's one of the things I want to discuss in a later episode in relation to, be like, can we have that? Is it allowed? Of course it's allowed, but when's it going to start?
Yeah. It'll take a creative person with enough time on their hands. So you
Oh, I
could
think
start it if you want.
I think I time is the hard thing. I
Yeah.
think too a creative, but also just a person who doesn't care what people are going to say about their work.
Hmm.
Think of Laurent I don't know how to say his last name. He's French. Theroux. So apologies, Laurent,
Lawrence is as far as I go.
if I picture if Cosmic Bonsai, right?
Mhm.
He does stuff that elicits a response. It's either you like it or you don't. And those are the people that really just doing what they're doing, which is really cool. Independently, I call them independently owned artists to themselves, right? But in relations, they're still working under their own identity. What if they created another identity? Would it be perceived better? Because that identity then is like, oh, that's that other identity or character. This is that person there. You know what I mean?
Well, think about it this way. It's quite hard to hone in on your bonsai style, you know?
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, you're just doing it long enough that maybe you'll develop a distinctive
Your own.
style that
Yeah.
someone can look at and say, "Oh, that's Kevin Ferris's work."
Hmm.
So, even like thinking about these very good artists that kind of have a distinctive style, I wonder how long it would take them to develop an alter ego style, and if they could keep them separate, or would they just end up fusing? You know, would it be more of a gradual transition into something
Just
else?
just apply more Deadwood.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kelly?
So
I
I'm
mean,
still trying to
California's full of shock rock.
I'm still trying to understand what that is. So like in terms of music, the
Mm.
artists were themselves and then they had like a alter ego and they
I guess you could
I
call
don't
it
know how it works.
I guess you could call it an alter ego, or the fact of just like creating a different persona. There you go. Like a different personality in relation to like Alice Cooper. I don't know if you've heard of Alice Cooper. He's a famous rock musician who is known for painting his face, and it's called shock rock. Um, there's people throughout history of rock and roll that did shock rock. you know,
So like Kiss, is that like
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
talking
Kiss.
about?
That's a different personality because he's not Gene Simmons. He's his character who is
Ah,
Gene Simmons, but not Gene Simmons.
But
okay.
in some ways, I think like you talk to the ones that do like demos at large conventions and things,
Mhm.
they are performing and they all say they're performing. They're
Right,
putting
under
on
who
a
they
perf
are, right? They're
Yeah, yeah.
performing with themselves. But in relation to like, what if they wear a mask, or what if they put on
Mm.
this Liberace style
You want to
suit?
see
You
a
know,
dramatized demonstration. Is that what you're saying?
yes, but also the fact that demonstrations are already kind of drama, right? We're engaged. We're like, oh wow,
Mm.
what's the tree gonna look like? But in the essence, you have a professional in this instance, my opinion is you have a professional that's, oh, this is their work. I know their work because this is their personality speaks to their work, right? Dan is the best identity I can think of right now. His work is
Mm.
gnarly. You know his work when you see his work. But
Mm.
what if he went softer and created a different persona?
I don't think he'd want to.
But
Yeah,
right, but the availability that people can, but is it gonna happen yet? Is it available to happen in Bonsai? You know?
it's kind of like people can, but they would have to want to, and they'd have to have the self-control to put their usual preferences to the side, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing too, because in the sense, if you're making music, you're putting your usual adaptations to the side and creating something completely different and almost maybe more prolific.
I don't know what that means.
In the
You put,
sense,
can you say it again? You put your usual adaptations to the side.
so
Like,
music, you make music one way. Like I'm Kevin, I make music this way.
okay.
But if I make my name Richard, I'll make music a different way because now I'm free and able to break out of my mold that
Oh,
I've
you mean
created.
like a pen name almost.
Not necessarily that. You could in the sense of like a writer, right? A
Mm,
writer has a
like
pen name.
then you won't
Uh,
be restricted by your past reputation when you're
exactly.
making the
Exactly. Now we're
app.
making connections. Woohoo!
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
sometimes
gosh.
Kevin asks questions and I'm like, wait, what does this mean? And
See, get you thinking.
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like the cosmic bonsai guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
He
Mm,
knows
Hmm.
how to do traditional bonsai from Taiwan or Japan, but he chooses to do cosmic
mm.
bonsai.
Under his name, right? I'm just wondering if there's
Yeah.
going to be people that have their name, say Joe Schmo, turns into Richard Dreyfuss, you
Mm.
know? I was like, oh, that's a complete different name. But in the resemblance of it being like, oh, that's completely different work too, but I'm the same person, just a different character
I
identity.
would think there was something mentally wrong with the person. It's like, why do you have two names? Like we all know it's you.
Yeah, it's kind of hard I mean, you might have to hire someone to go set up the tree for you.
Right? Right?
So it becomes,
What if you never show that other name with your existence and just have it be this anomaly of a person? Like, who is
Oh,
this
that would be
person? You know?
interesting. I would like to see that.
Well, it's like
I,
what was the pen name of why am I thinking of the author? You have to edit this part out. It's a big brain fart on me, Brian. Please edit this out.
Breathe it in,
okay.
breathe it
It's
in.
he wrote Huckleberry Finn.
Oh, Mark Twain had a pen name?
Yeah, Mark Twain's pen name. Um his pen name is Mark Twain. His real name is Samuel Langhorne Clemens.
Oh
Oh, I think I
yeah.
must have
We
learned that in
forget
school
that.
and forgotten. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's weird.
You know, I mean, it's done a lot in writing. You
Yeah.
know, it's done a lot in music. It's done a lot in a lot of other art forms because it breaks people out of the mold that they're. I feel like some people may get into this idea where they have to be this person because that's who their identity is with that
Mm.
piece of work.
Okay,
And
the three of us have to come up with our own name.
I've already
And
been thinking about this for a
we
while. I'm like, watch
start
out,
this
Yeah.
bro.
off.
What's the polar opposite of Kevin Ferris? Maybe Kevin Ferris is from Oregon. Whatever Kevin's alter ego is going to be from Florida, like the polar opposite side. And then you can design your trees with other
Alligators and
inspirations. Yeah.
manatees.
Mm.
See, that's I don't know. Those are just things I think about in relation of like, where aren't we going in bonsai? Can we do that in 2025 or is that years down the road?
I feel like that's going to be I mean, unless somebody
It's a
hears this
progression,
and thinks it's a great idea and goes with it, I think maybe we'll live to see someone crazy enough to do that in our lifetime.
I
Crazy or
think
creative.
I think there's a thought behind it too that does, and this is philosophical in the sense of any idea that we've thought, it's usually been thunk before
Hmm.
or it's been thought of
Mm-hmm.
before, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my idea may not be that original because somebody's probably thought of it too, but not talked about it openly. So for the fact that people may be listening, whoever you are in the world or state of wherever, why not do it? You know, I just am at the point where I'm like, let's just talk about it. If I had time, I would do it, but I don't have time. Maybe my
Like the
daughter will do
goings
it.
ons in Kevin's head.
Yeah.
This is my yes. This is what I've literally been. I'll tell you, world and Brian and Kelly. Through school, I had so many things I wanted to talk about with you all, but I hadn't
Mm.
been able to. So I wrote them down in relation
Ah,
like
Let it all out
that's
ideas.
now.
why.
And I kid you not, the moment I finished my finals, the week of December 15th, I finished my last two finals. I finished like at 1 in the morning. No. Finished at like 11:30. And I was like, oh, that was it? I just clicked submit online and that was it? Oh wow. No fireworks, no grand parade, no.
That's how I felt
I was
on my
like,
like the last day of college. I'm like,
I was
this
like,
is
oh,
it. What a
this
letdown.
is, I was like, I built this way up too much in my head. I've seen too many movies, you know, I've
Mm.
been Hollywoodized to the point of like, this is fake. Um,
Well, you
I
skipped your
did,
graduation too, so you didn't get to throw the hat.
Oh.
well, I've been to two other graduations. I graduated massage school. I graduated
Mm.
from Portland Community College from first go around of college. I graduated from high school. I had enough. And I wanted to go see my daughter's first school recital, which was great. There's a point in it, little tangent. She was looking for me in the crowd and I was filming her off to the side.
Mm.
And she saw my wife. She's like, Mama, where's Dada? In the middle of everything. And she was dead center. We didn't know she was going to be dead center. She was dancing and all the things and
Mm.
all of the things. And then she saw me and we had been practicing her songs in the car because I'm like, Junie, if you want to do good at this, you got to practice your songs. So we did. And then she looks at me. She's like, Dad, look. And she was dancing and doing all stuff. And she just did it like 10 times harder. I was like, yeah,
Oh.
that's awesome. Tangent
That was worth
aside,
it.
tangent aside, I chose that over my graduation because I wanted to spend time with that memory. But also that night too, that midday tonight, I flew out to Oregon for a visit with family during a holiday, which I got to
Mm.
work with Hagedorn, a couple other people, Lee Cheadle. It was great. But I finished my finals. Going back to this point I was making, I finished my finals. I ended up staying up to like 3 or 4 in the morning, just writing down all these things that just came out. Like a dam had broken in my brain, where all this water was just flooding the town of Kevin, and I had to write it all down. And I have like my iPad is full of all these ideas, things, this, and that, goals. You know, that's the biggest thing too. Another topic, I guess, that could be reoccurring. Do bonsai people in general and people in general who are getting into bonsai or have done it a long time, do we set enough goals for ourselves? And if we do we achieve them?
It's a good, maybe a good discussion with the club. Like you could have a January meeting, everybody writes down a bonsai goal for the year, and then in December you could pull out the goals and see, oh, did we accomplish, what we'd set out to do? Kind of to help push everybody, maybe.
Feels like you almost need like an AA style meeting where it's like, hi, my name's so hi, blah, blah, blah. Then you have a support person to like get you to your goal or something.
Yeah, you can get called in July and be like, have you done your goal yet?
You know, what do you think, Kelly?
I've never seen that. I don't
I've
know if
never
people
either.
actually
It's like
have goals. It seems like people are just like going on as they are.
laissez-faire.
Yeah, pretty much. And um I don't know if people are trying to, I mean, there's probably some trying to get to the next level, whatever that
Mm,
means.
mm.
Um, but I just don't know people are like, I have a certain goal to get like um this much better. I think they just kind of go with it.
Hmm.
Like
Mm.
whatever workshop there is, I'll take it. I don't know if there's any goals in mind. Like, how do
Well,
you guys?
isn't the
Mhm.
goal to get better if you're taking workshops to educate
Oh
yourself
yeah,
more?
but it's kind of a more passive, like, oh, a workshop's coming into town, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
sign up
Mm.
and
Oh,
bring a
okay.
tree.
I could
But
see
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
honestly,
Hmm.
so I've gotten to the point where um in the beginning, I was like, I'm going to every meeting. I'm
Mm.
gonna like, I was a
Yeah.
hundred percent
Yeah.
focused. Like, why are people in the back talking? They're distracting
Hmm.
like from the demonstrator. So everything they said or did, like I was zoned in, like honed in on it. And now I find myself like, oh, I've seen that person do it before. What tree are they working on? Oh, I don't need to go see that. Like, I just
Hmm.
want to see the before and after. Um, and
Aren't
I,
you in, or last year you were in like 5 clubs, right?
yeah, I think it was like seven. And
Did
then
you continue with that this year, or now you're being more selective?
I'm probably still gonna rejoin the clubs just to pay my dues. I mean, they're
Mm.
not that expensive, and I think the dues in some way help something. Um,
Yeah,
Mm.
they
but
do.
I don't think I'm gonna go to every single one. I like going now more for like the social aspect, but seeing someone do a demonstration, I was like, well, like even the top guys are like, this isn't like what they like to do, where you make an instant tree like bonsai at the end. Um, I mean, they do it to the point where they at least try not to hurt the tree. I'm like, it's fun, but what am I really learning at this point? I think you get to a point where you're just like, because I used to see like people that are seasoned, I'm like, they're not even paying attention, or they're just going in
Mm.
the hallway, or they leave early. Like, what is wrong with these people? Now I'm really realizing, oh, it's because they've seen it, they've been there, they've done it. They're not learning anything new. So unless there's like someone that I know is a really good teacher and they always impart something new to even the people that have like are really seasoned, like those are worth going to, I think, or seeing, oh, let's see what their style's about. I don't know who they are, but going to the regular run of the mill meet, nothing wrong, I'm not trying to say anything bad about them. um it's just it doesn't have the same effect on me anymore. So I think that's just part of being in bonsai. Like, you just go through this journey where like everything's interesting at first, and then
Mm.
it just kind of dies down.
Would you
um
say you get more refined and selective of like what you like and what you don't want to spend time with them?
yeah, like I used to go to every sale and buy something, and now I'm just like,
Mm.
like
That's a lot of
that's a
money.
decent tree, it's okay. Or more so, like, I don't want to get it because then I'm gonna have to take care of it along with everything
Mm.
else I'm taking care of.
Yeah.
So now I'm at the point where and probably, you end up with like, if you're hanging out with certain people that like really really nice trees, and they're working on really nice trees, and that's all they acquire, you start to think in a different way, because
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
don't
you
know, like,
adapt.
what do you like, you get influenced by who you're with, right? So I
Mhm.
started thinking, yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to work on these little trees that I've collected, these like nursery things. um and it's more of like, I think I'm more willing now to spend more on a tree because I probably won't kill it.
Right.
Versus before, I'm glad I didn't, because I did kill trees or scar them, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, yeah, you
Uh,
understand the value, right? And the
yeah,
the time consideration that takes that much longer to make the nursery stuff, what the nicer stuff that you're paying more money for to look for.
yeah, yeah. So and plus, at the end, like, you don't want a backyard that's cluttered with trees. I know that happens to everybody.
Mm.
Um,
Guilty.
yeah, and I mean, you're running a nursery, so I think you have an
It's
excuse.
a good excuse.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's about time to start toning down a
Oh,
little bit.
hold on, everyone. Did you hear that pause? Yeah, about that.
I'll just send you all my stuff, right? You can.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. What about you, Ryan?
So
You've been setting goals?
Yeah, last year I did kind of have a goal where I wanted to start using copper wire for wiring.
Very good.
Because when I learned under Dan Robinson, he only used aluminum, and I was fine with that because, if you make a mistake, you can just unbend it really easily. Although hearing from other professionals how when they went to Japan, they learned on copper because then you have to learn at a little bit higher level because if you make a mistake, you're going to have to take more time to fix it. So you have to be more careful. So I thought that there would be some benefit, especially now that I'm more involved getting out there doing some teaching. I thought it would be good for me to challenge myself in that way, do more copper when I'm working conifers, and kind of start to build my experience in that area, especially if I have other people asking me questions about it. That would be good to be comfortable with.
Mm.
So I'm still early on in that. I did wire 2 conifers to completion, like just little nursery things towards the end of the summer. And then I did a little bit, like my first step into the pool at the Hugo workshop, although I didn't wire very many branches. It was mostly pruning on that one. Um,
That's
but
significantly as important too.
yeah, yeah, actually, it wasn't as daunting as I expected. The same trick that I use with aluminum wire to see if it's the thick enough piece, where I just take like a 2-inch segment and I push it against the branch. And if the wire bends first, then the wire's not strong enough to hold the branch. If the branch bends first, then the wire is strong enough.
Kelly,
And
have you heard of anybody else doing that? When I heard Ryan do this and he explained it that way, I'd never heard anybody do that before.
well, I definitely didn't invent it. Someone told me about that.
Hmm.
Using copper first?
No,
No,
the bending technique to
if
see
you
if the
take
wire
like a
is strong
2-inch
enough.
segment of the wire and you push it against the branch you want to bend to see if it's strong enough to hold that
Oh,
branch.
that's how I
Yeah.
was taught.
Yeah, so I was surprised to learn that that works for copper too. So
Mm,
then it was like, oh, okay, I could do this, you know. It's a little bit different when you're actually applying the wire.
Yeah.
But other than that, like choosing the right gauge is half the battle. So
The application is just matter of fact of being able to do proper application in relation of how your hands are moving. I think of
yeah.
like playing guitar, where if you're strumming with your right hand, your fingers are doing the chord progressions with your left hand. Similarly, the same thing. You're anchoring the wire and rotating and creating your angles so proper spacing is
Hmm.
adequate. It just takes time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still working on it, and Hugo will tell you he's like, yeah, it's getting better, but not great.
Yeah, so I guess I just want to style more trees next year, if I can find the time.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, PhD
that
life, man. You got to finish that.
Yeah, I know. So that's the thing I was thinking about in the last couple of days. Um, yeah, I guess that was my major goal for last year was start practicing with the copper wire, start selling more in more places, start selling more things online. I've dipped my toes in a little more there into that pool. I just added a bunch of tools on my Etsy. So I'm like very gradually building my experience and my nursery both at the same time, you know. And each year, I also add maybe one presentation or one workshop that I haven't taught before. So all of that is a good thing to be doing. But then you're talking about for 2025, what is my goal other than to try to continue improving my bonsai skills? That's one side, just to keep challenging myself on. And then the other side, as far as my nursery goes and bonsai education, this year I'm being trying to be very time efficient. That's what I've decided. So I'm going to try to find where can I cut down the time I need to do something. And part of the reason is why Kevin, you pointed out, this is as it's sitting here today in January of 2025. It's right around 4.5 years or a little less than that that I've been in my PhD program.
Already.
Uh,
Wow. That's
yes.
damn, man.
Hmm. Allegedly,
That's crazy.
allegedly, the average time to completion in the OSU microbiome department is 5.25 years.
I'm gonna say,
I
yeah.
honestly don't believe that because I
No,
see a lot more people
no
going
way.
6 and 7 years
Yeah, no
than the
way.
number of people going 4 years. If it was average, you need some on both sides, right? But so yeah,
I think those are outliers because those are the people that don't have to work extra to make something else, or they're just only focused on school. What do you think, Kelly?
hmm,
I don't know much about a PhD program. I was about to ask you when you graduate, Ryan.
hmm.
Yeah, yeah, when he graduates.
When I'm ready. Yeah, I don't know, but the only thing I know is
We'll
it
know what he
should
knows,
be
everyone.
getting close, and I need so this year I'm I'm feeling the pressure a little bit, like I
Not
need
only
to
from your partner, but from school.
well, personally, let's say.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like I know I should be graduating hopefully by the end of my 6th year. I don't really want to take longer than that. 7, absolute maximum. Possibly less than 6 if I can. But anyways, it's like time is running out.
So
So
your
I,
theme song for this year is Under Pressure, Pressure
yeah,
Down on Me, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really prioritizing my work going into 2025. And that means trying to be more selective with what I can help with in the bonsai world. Maybe like starting, I think this will be my last year as the club treasurer. I had
Mm.
asked if someone wanted to take over for this year, nobody, but next
They got
year,
they
hard
got big
stop.
shoes to fill, man. That's a
Yeah,
hard one. You did too good of a job.
that's the problem. They wouldn't let me out. But next year, hard stop on that, I think, so I can focus on finishing.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to.
Um, yeah, actually, about the last year and a half, for my main project, I've been stuck on a particular problem. I've done the same experiment, a very similar one, like 35 different ways, and the results had been unreliable. And so just yesterday, I got some good results that cleanly explain the source of the variation. So now I can, in a way that is also novel information about what I'm studying. So now I can use that to go forward with it, but I need to make up for lost time by prioritizing that.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, that's kind of my goal for 2025 is find ways to be more efficient, more selective, and focus on my real work and keep. I still want to do bonsai, but a little bit more on the back burner this year than in the past.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah.
Kelly, I feel like I cut you off when you're trying to explain your goals. I apologize. Did you finish your goal-oriented talk?
Um, I think the only thing I can think of is I'm gonna keep studying or working with Steve
Nice.
and Mr. Che. I guess I'm gonna learn a little bit from him if he's willing to teach me a few things. He does more penjing.
Oh, I was gonna ask, I'm like, that sounds cool.
Yeah, so I'm friends with his daughter. So I was over at their place at his place last night with her.
Hmm.
Um, so I finally got to see his trees because he kept telling me, he's like, if you want to learn, you got to come look at my trees. And if you like what you see, then we can like decide. Like, because he's like, you need to work on things you like what tree do
Hmm.
you like? What kind of tree do you like? What kind of style? And then work from there.
Hmm.
He's actually really, he's full of a lot of information. And luckily, I could understand the Chinese dialect he speaks because that's what I grew up with.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, I'm not fluent at all, but in a lot of it I don't understand, but I can fill in the blanks just based on what we're talking about.
Hmm.
Is
Um,
it like Cantonese or I don't know that many Chinese dialects, but
it's called Toisanwa, but
oh,
it's like Cantonese, similar to
hmm.
Cantonese. Um, so but then his daughter is a really good translator too, so she's going to be there. So I think we're going to try to do she's going to go there every other week, so I'll probably tag along.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know exactly how this is going to work if I'm going to learn much. But so far, I mean, he's willing to share information. He's not gatekeeping. Um, he grows almost everything in the ground because it
Hmm.
like thickens by a third or 50%, or 100%, sorry, uh, within like 7 to 10 years. So
Wow.
yeah, he has large trees. That's probably not what I'm going to go for because I can't
Hmm.
lift that. Um,
Right, right.
but I get the principle and he lets branches grow and he points them straight up. Like instead of them just going out sideways, he'll point them straight up to get more energy from the sun.
Hmm.
So whatever
It's
he's
probably more
doing. Mhm,
it's probably more space efficient too if you got a bunch of trees in the ground. Let it go
mhm.
straight up instead of running into the tree next to it.
Yeah, that too. So whatever he's doing is working. And
Hmm.
if I mean it is a different style. It's penjing, so it looks different than like I guess traditional bonsai.
It's
Um,
the beginning of bonsai, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And he knows like so
Do
where
you
to go?
think the,
Let me see how.
can,
Uh-huh.
can I interrupt you real quick? I'll ask you a
Yeah.
question. Being that you are ancestry is Chinese, correct?
hmm
Do you think this would influence you in a different cultural aspect of trying to understand how this influences your bonsai?
So yeah, so you know, bonsai is very Japanese, so I can see how like the Japanese here in America identify with it or
Mhm.
um so I like it. I don't think I identify I'm not Japanese.
Right, right.
Um so then in this with this, I was like, well, I mean, I don't think of myself as Chinese from China. Like, I think they're different than me. So still, I guess in like Chinese culture, I guess. So I feel
Hmm.
like I could connect a little bit more with this, and I would be very proud to know how to um or at least understand pinching. I don't know if I get so into it.
Hmm. Hmm.
It does take a lot of patience. Like his daughter, even though she doesn't like do the art, she understands it just because she grew up with it. So she's telling me things. I'm like, you do know a lot. She goes, I guess
Mm,
I do. Just by
Yeah.
being around my dad, talking to my dad, seeing everything as
mm,
I was growing up. So she has like an understanding of like how to even grow things. And all she could say is like it takes a ton of patience. Like you're putting a tree into the ground and you're waiting 10 years to dig it out, or even longer.
Hmm.
And
Is
then
that
only
now
then
is
do
that
you start.
deciduous or conifer as well?
Deciduous. He
Okay.
he
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
really do junipers or
Hmm.
he has a couple of black pines, but that yeah, most of it's deciduous.
sounds
Okay.
like a good person to interview.
Yeah, yeah,
Translated to
yeah.
interview. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Hey, maybe we're on to something there. Translated interviews.
It would be. I thought of
Hmm.
that, and I mean, they'll probably be game for it. Um,
I believe in
he,
you, Kelly.
yeah,
I
I
can
like.
submit some questions for you. I'm I'd like to do more interviews with people growing from seed.
Mhm.
So I
Mm.
have, this is one of the areas that I'm going to be more efficient on this year. I have this seed guide that I ship out to everybody that buys seeds. And every time someone buys it, I literally print it out of my printer. And I think this year I'm just going to take the
Do it.
version I have.
Do an
And
ebook, dude.
yeah, well, I don't necessarily want to do an ebook, but I'm going to print out a physical copy, like a little booklet, just of the version I have this year, and then I'll ship that out to people because I can print it en masse and that will save me some time. But in the long term, I've had this idea kicking around in my head to do like a bigger book about growing from seed. And currently, the state of that idea is that I want to interview more people growing bonsai from seed.
Hmm.
So when I visited Dan Robinson in July, we did an interview just focused on his perspective on growing from seed.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of got my ears out for other people like that. What'd you say his name was, Kelly?
Who? Oh, or the
The
pinching.
yeah, Penjing seed grower.
We call him Mr. Che. He's the curator of the pinching garden in at the Huntington.
Oh,
Whoa,
okay,
cool.
gotcha.
That's awesome.
Sounds like a good person to know.
So
Yeah.
do you plan to work on the trees at the Penjing Huntington collection or the Huntington collection
Uh,
Penjing trees?
so he takes he has a different approach with that. So and I kind of see his perspective
Hmm.
um, and somewhat agree with it. But I also agree with how the bonsai volunteers are doing things too. So with
Hmm.
Mr. Che, my understanding, not from his mouth, but just my understanding, is you have to be qualified to work on a tree. So it's not just you come in as a volunteer and you can just hack at the tree or work on it. He wants to make sure because it's his responsibility to make sure those trees are taken care of.
Hmm.
Um, he wants to make sure you know how to cut a tree because
Hmm.
I mean his daughter kind of told me this. So she kind of said, maybe at some point, like if my dad starts to trust someone, then you can cut the back of the tree. And then
Mm,
he's gonna see how that goes.
Okay.
And if
good
it goes
idea. That's a
well,
good
then
system.
maybe you can do something else and eventually work your way to the front of the tree. But he's not just gonna hand over a tree that's like super old that someone's been working on and put all this
Hmm.
effort in and let some new person that doesn't know what they're doing ruin it. So I go, I understand. Like
Hmm.
he takes his job very seriously, and I kind of think that he has a healthy respect for the trees. And he's told me
Definitely.
something that maybe some people around his age don't think of the same way. And Kevin, you might like this. So he was like pointing out to me, he's like, yeah, I see he'll see me in the working in the Huntington garden. It's like, yeah, I see that you're, default like not quite defoliating, but working on a tree, like pruning it. And maybe you're going a little too much. He goes, really? But he's like, so he started talking to me one day after we were done volunteering. And so because I could understand him. So he was like, with that tree, it probably should be left alone for 2 years to get healthy
Mm,
and full. Like, that's the thing. You gotta let the tree be healthy. Then he walked me over to his section of the nursery and he goes, "You see this tree? It's not gonna be touched. It's not gonna be touched for another year. It hasn't been touched for a year." So he kind of like says it needs to get healthy. So I was like, oh wow, usually you don't hear that.
Mm,
It's just kind of like work on it, it'll back bud, or work on
mm,
it and it'll just at least it'll look good for like the instant you're done working on it.
mm.
Versus him, he's like, no, you got to let it get healthy. Like trees need to sit here on the bench for at least 2 years if they're not looking healthy, and then that's only when you touch them and work on them.
And they're on public display?
No, no, this is back in the nursery. So
Oh,
there's
okay. I
mm.
was like, what? I was
there's
like, whoa,
the
cool.
courtyards where the public sees the trees, and then there's
Ah,
trees in the back that are like several several trees in the back.
so not to interrupt, but that's something that we've run into with Dawes, where they don't have many trees. They don't have as many trees as they used to. Sadly, trees have died. Things happened. I don't know. There are trees that I've now put in certain angles via building scaffolding to have the pot at a certain angle because of how the tree was styled for better photosynthetic response rate and health to the tree. But in this case, we're showing them in that way, so it's more of an educational tool in response to, say, one branch is really long. We're letting that grow, like Mr. Che was saying, or in response to not touching a tree. And that way, it's in that guiding aspect to understand or bring understanding to the public. Hey, this is this way because this is next step, and then this next step will get to that step we want to be at. And that's interesting. Mr. Che said that. That's really cool. I do like that. Like you were right. I do like that.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
in your case, Kevin, one of the trees I remember you styled was that Scots pine,
mm,
and Dawes doesn't have a lot of display ready trees because they don't have people that have been styling their trees the last
hmm
couple of years.
hmm
So if I recall, what you did was you wired and you were very conservative about what you pruned off.
Yeah,
So you left things a little long and
yeah,
the
yeah.
intent being, preserve the health. Once it backbuds or is healthier, then we can do a little more pruning, a little more radical
hmm
reduction of the canopy size.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And that's the thing too. I think it, like we talked about earlier in the first episode or part one, relative tree handling to that of environmental impact, right? It's like Kelly, right now, your trees are, you're not going to see what's the smoke and fire stuff is doing to your trees until next year.
Hmm.
And, or even maybe next fall, you never know until it gets to the whole season. Possibly spring, but more than likely it's going to be down the road. You'll see certain things that will not be looking good as they were years past, possibly. And I say that just from experience. But
Well, if
going
it's
into,
I
was that
wonder about what we were saying earlier with the fires affecting the leaves. If the trees are already dormant, I wonder if the effect would be less.
could be, that's the truth because we are in winter. Technically, California has
Mm.
winter, quotation marks.
Some of the
Um,
trees, I guess.
yeah, I was like, I've seen you all repotting in like November. I'm like, oh, that'd be nice.
Mm.
Oh, I
Um,
know I'm behind.
well, you're ahead of us.
Mhm.
Uh, because going to Oregon in this aspect of like tree health and things and the productivity of goals for 2025, it's like, oh wow, people on the West Coast. From when I went to Oregon, I was talking to Lee Cheadle about this. Like, I realized you got to really want to do bonsai in the Midwest and parts of the East Coast because you get snow or really cold temps. Like the other day, we didn't get above 18,
Ooh.
and this week we have a low of 5. And it's like,
I'm like, what does that even feel like?
it's not
If you bundle
fun.
up enough, you won't notice.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like yesterday was 33, and I was just wearing a light sweater because I'm like, oh, this feels warm. It's
Especially
weird.
you're shoveling snow, getting your workout in,
Yeah, yeah.
shoveling
But
snow
like,
onto the bonsai.
no, but Kelly, that's a really cool goal. I look forward to seeing the work you get to do and or be a part of with the Penjing because that's something I've always been interested in, but never have known anyone to do it exclusively or known anyone to practice it in their own personal life. So that'd be really cool.
Can I ask a follow-up there, Kelly? So you were saying Mr. Che doesn't necessarily let people work on the trees right away, the trees that are on public display. So how do you build that trust with him so he can see that you're capable? Does he
Mm,
have
good
practice
question.
trees? Does he let you work on the trees that are in the ground that are years away from being a finished tree? What's his strategy, I guess?
So I've never asked him, but I was hanging out with his daughter yesterday. We're friends. So we were at dinner and she was telling me like how her dad started. Um,
Mm,
I, I think there was a teacher here. I don't know who it is. I'll probably learn more about this, but
mm,
um, that particular, I think it's called the Lingnan
mm.
style of Penjing. So there's
Never
like
heard of it.
5 schools. So
Hmm.
this particular teacher was only teaching his own son, and he took on Mr. Che as well. And
Wow.
according to his daughter, he was like her dad was just watching like the first, I don't know, 10 years or so, just kind of watching and
Wow.
learning. Maybe it wasn't full 10 years, but something
Yeah.
like that. Or I got the story, maybe I got the story all screwed up, but like it took him, all he would do was just watch. And that, I guess that's what you kind of do in Japan, even you're just
Hmm.
watching.
Mm.
And
You steal
yeah, so
you
she
steal their
mentioned
stuff.
that too. And again, she doesn't do any of this. She just knows from watching, being around her dad and seeing this. She goes, "My
Mm,
dad says like art is copying. You're
Hmm.
the highest form of flattery or a compliment is copy your teacher, copy
mm,
another master. But in America, you like, oh, that's not like you don't want to do that because it's
Hmm.
plagiarism or whatever.
right.
But like that's what you're supposed to do." He goes, so you copy your teacher, you copy whoever you admire. And at the end, like art, like you were just saying earlier about something else, Kevin, where you're like, it's not like it's never been thought of by somebody else before. So whatever you're
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah,
someone in the
yeah.
world thought about it before.
Hmm.
And even if you think you're not copying someone, you're copying someone, even you're or you're copying several people to make your design. So you're not
Mm.
the one and only person that ever thought about it in the world and came up with it.
Dang
I
it.
know.
But your
So,
execution will probably end up being unique, no matter how hard you try to copy.
Or
Unless you
how
get
you
really good, and then you can copy accurately.
or how you dance. I call it dancing with the tree. You may move your foot in this idea analogy, may move your foot to the right instead of the left. There's a
mhm.
difference. Ah, that's cool. That's awesome.
So
Hell
I
yeah.
want to, I work like hanging out with his daughter and hopefully hanging out at his place with when she's there.
Hmm.
Um, I could just learn a little more, but he gets pretty philosophical about things. He's very like to the point. So, like
That's good.
like I don't he doesn't offend, but it's just kind of direct, very direct, and I appreciate that better than like
Hmm.
um I don't know.
Wishy-washy.
Yeah, because he'll just say something and I'm like, whoa. And I was like thinking to myself, well, no, like I gotta think, he's Chinese and I know like Chinese people can be very direct because I grew up like that.
Hmm.
Um, and he's getting to the point and he's really trying to teach like the right way or what he thinks is the right way. Um, so I don't know what it's going to take to like be able to work on his trees, and I don't even know if I want to go there for the
Mm.
at the Huntington,
Hmm.
just because I don't have a lot of time to do that. But I definitely
Hmm.
would like to learn from him at least something, a few things.
You will. I think in retrospect, my personal opinion, and as I've known you now Kelly, we've known you what, for 2 years now? Wow, already, I think.
Mm, maybe a little
Going on.
over, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm.
Fast. Time flies. You're having fun. Um, uh, and how I've learned that you've learned is that you do a lot of retrospect. So I think you'll think about it reflectively and then pick up on what you've learned to that as well. And you're really good at that, I will say, in relation to like stuff that you've taught me or like we talked about. You always go with like, wow, I did hear this that one time. That makes sense, in relation of like once you reflect, you kind of pick up more of what you've been taught, right?
Uh, yeah, sometimes it doesn't connect at the moment.
Right,
But
right, right. Through reflection, you find your point, I guess,
yeah,
right?
and I think one more goal I just want to mention is
Mm,
I really like the people in Bonsai.
mm,
Just this past like in 2024, I met like a bunch of people I've never met before. Um, And I just was certain, you don't vibe with everybody, like everyone's nice, but you don't connect with everybody, and that's okay. But the ones I do connect with, I'm like, I need to make an effort to like continue on the friendship. Not for personal gain or anything, just because they're good people and we yeah, we're like similar and we should know what's going on in each other's lives and check in.
Now, does that involve like creating like little study groups with each other to have bonsai time,
Uh,
and also just like friendly time?
yeah, so I'll text people or they'll call me.
Mm.
Um, and but a lot of them don't even we don't live close to each other.
Okay. Or we can do the Zoom chat thing, like we did before.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Be cool.
Anyway,
Mm.
that's my
That's
goals
good
for
goals.
2025.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
Oh, and I gotta get those videos out that I said I would do for CBS.
Oh,
Mm.
Ben O'Keefe
I
Scholarship.
know. I was
Yeah.
there at one of the club meetings, and some guy always picks on me. He's like, "So where are those videos, Kelly? Or do we get a refund?"
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh, gee, I really got to get those out."
that's funny.
They're in progress.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh, I guess I can think of my goals, huh?
Hmm.
My goals are to entertain the idea of what I can do better in my own artistic approaches and things. I've got some things coming down the hatch. Just stay tuned with that. But what other areas can we improve with the podcast? Just talking to more people. I would like to see us in the podcast goals for 2025, like do more social media outreach, more videos and things, maybe if we have time. Um, when we have time, obviously. Like to see more episodes being released more than once a month sometimes. I know people have talked to me in the past, like, I want more episodes. It's like, oh, well, do you want to edit for us?
The easiest way, if people want more episodes, is you could volunteer to edit. We can train you. I don't think that many people will take us up on that.
Nah.
Or, we have in the past had a one subscriber, and if we really wanted, we could try to work on that system
Hmm.
and kind of crowdfund the editing, so then we would have the capacity to make more episodes because editing really is
The
as
time
much
crunch.
or more time than doing the interviews themselves. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, if anybody wanted to, throw in a sponsorship so that we can edit more episodes, we're happy to arrange that type of thing. So you can always just email us.
Yeah, we have a good amount of episodes in the bank from all of
Hmm.
us. And like you said, just getting them edited and, Ryan, you're on a PhD, Kelly, you're working, I'm working.
Hmm.
It's this is something that we enjoy doing, and we're very fortunate. I'll say I'm very fortunate to be involved with you all in relation to be able to do this little thing that creates a friendship, but also an outreach and a little guilty pleasure to talk to people that we wouldn't normally get to talk to, and hear historical aspects or just how people have improved their quality of life sometimes, It's pretty interesting. I think that's good too, because there's a lot of podcasts out now about bonsai now from when we started
Yeah, it's
four
it's
years
definitely
ago.
grown. Hmm.
We started 4 years ago, five,
Hmm.
yeah. It's grown a lot, which is good. And there's a lot out there that stopped making episodes that have since gone to the wayside, but still holds good value. And, you know, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet what our podcast will look like this year. I know for myself, we'll try to keep sticking to the one per month minimum.
Hmm.
I know right now I'm working on something that will be a little different, and it will probably come out shortly after this one that you're listening to now. So I went to an Ikebana Club demonstration here in Ohio. Someone had invited me to record it for them. So
Hmm.
I'm going to be putting up the full demonstration on my In Vivo Bonsai YouTube channel. And I'm also going to edit a shorter version of that and put that on the Bonsai Time podcast feed. Kind of like taking out the parts where there's no talking really. So then you can hear the evolution of they do a section on Ikebana history, and that's one of the local people here in Ohio who presents that. And then the rest of it is a Ikebana professor from Japan that
Oh,
the
cool.
local club had brought over, and they had a translated event where the teacher was explaining what he was doing in Japanese, and then they had the translator explaining it in English. So I might try doing some more things like that. I'm sitting on a lot of club recordings from the Columbus Club and from my old club, Puget Sound, that I've always said one day I would like to publish more of those, but just with limited time, it's been a challenge.
Mm,
So I think that might be one way I might try to save some time every here and there. I'll throw one of the club demos into the Bonsai Time podcast feed or something like that. So then I can kind of attack a couple projects at once.
nice.
Hmm.
I think we've all well equipped to better recording now in relation to microphone use and things in that way. Sorry for the first learning experience of the first year.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I just look forward to keep dialoguing with y'all. I don't know. I'm having fun still. Y'all having fun?
Yeah. Uh, I've definitely been having that bonsai itch like the last month since I put all the trees down for winter. I have not done any tree work, not even my tropicals, just kind of like administrative stuff, lining up new workshops, making greenhouses and spreading out the insulation and moving snow around. So it doesn't quite hit the same itch.
Yeah,
But talking about bonsai almost hits the itch. So it is fun still.
true.
Mhm.
How about you,
I
Kelly? You
mean,
still having fun?
Yeah, yeah. Just I guess in a different way than from like when I was total beginner.
Mm, that's good. Yeah, I look forward to what 2025 holds for us. It's gonna be a lot of good things coming up. Sounds like for everybody. Everyone's got in this group here. You've got your stuff, Ryan, with the PhD, but also other shows, big things.
mhm.
Kelly, you got your private study stuff with the Penjing. Mr. Che sounds really awesome, and
Yeah, hoping it works out.
yeah, you'll make it work. I think because you're diving deep in it, you'll get it. You'll make it work. I look forward
Mhm.
to seeing whatever you get from it. It would be really cool to hear
Mhm.
your thoughts on it, or just like, do you think you'll journal like your experience and like have it to look back on?
I did not think of doing that until you just said it, so I probably should and will.
That
Yeah,
way, keeps you honest in your thoughts and like, did I actually say that or did I think that? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
wish I had done more journaling when I was studying with Dan. I kind of have a bonsai notebook that I keep nowadays where I take a picture and then I write down what I actually did that day. And so then
Mm,
I have a record that I can easily go back and find, okay, what day was that picture taken? And then I can go find the picture that I was thinking of.
mm.
So you might play around with that format and see how it can be useful for you to try to remember what you're learning. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and you can make it as formal or informal as you want, or just forget about it. But I think a lot of bonsai, we try to just learn informally, but learning it with a little more structure for some people might help just to cement the information more.
Yeah, I think more people in bonsai, myself included, should journal more in relation to if they really want to. You don't have to, but it would
Mhm.
help.
Yeah, that kind of gets into like the demonstration format. Um, the way that things are taught is not always going to work for everybody to learn from it.
Hmm.
So you have to try different things both as a teacher and as a student to really get the information that you want, I guess.
Definitely.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, everyone, it's go time for me. I gotta go pack. Pack some stuff up. But I look forward to chatting with y'all soon. Thank you.
Yep. Stay safe, Kelly, and everyone in LA.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy
Happy
belated
2025.
2025.
Yeah.
Lunar New
From
Year's coming
all.
up.
Ooh,
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
From all of us at the Bonsai Time podcast. Thank you all.
Bonsai on.
Bonsai on.
I thought you were going to say it, Kevin.
Oh, no, all three. One, two, three.
Bonsai on.
Bonsai
Bonsai
on.
on.
We'll take it.
Cut. The Bonsai Time podcast is purely grown and horticulturally crafted by Kevin Ferris, Ryan Houston, and Kelly Louie. To find out more and see pictures about today's interview or sponsors, see the show notes linked in the description. Submit questions, suggestions, or tree pictures for future discussion episodes. Find the contact form on our website, bonsaitimepodcast.com, or message us directly at bonsaitimepodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to support future episodes, please rate us, share episodes, donate, or become a sponsor. The music on today's episode was provided by MIDI Cancer. To find more of their work, check out their SoundCloud and Bandcamp pages. To stay in touch with us, subscribe to the Bonsai Time podcast on your favorite podcast app, Instagram, or YouTube, and Facebook. Contact us individually. Kevin's Instagram is Kevin_Ferris, PNW. Kelly's Instagram is Bonsai with Kelly. Ryan's website is invivobonsai.com, and his Instagram is invivobonsai. Thank you all, and remember, bonsai on!